All right, this week I read, or should I say, listened to The Secret, the 28th novel in the Jack Reacher series, and also the shortest Jack Reacher novel to date. Clocking in at just over 9 hours on Audible, and that's pretty damn short. I've read all the Jack Reacher novels, and some of them are like 16 plus hours. So calling this a fast read or listen is a bit of an understatement. And honestly, that might be my only real complaint about this book. It was a bit too short for my liking. I like to spend, a few days listening to Jack Reacher. I did this in one shift at work, but perhaps it wouldn't have been as good if it had dragged out and included a bunch of unneeded, unnecessary stories. So, moving on. So this book is another prequel, taking us back to Jack Reacher's days in the military, which aren't usually my favorite, but save for one of them, which really stands out, which is The Affair, that I love. But otherwise, I like the present day Jack Reacher, the post-military Jack Reacher, the most. But this was pretty good. It's a pretty cool time period they chose. It's this period of time where Jack Reacher has lost his rank of major and been busted down to captain, which we've heard about in other novels, but we've never actually had a story take place during that period of time. And this story gives us that. And it also gives us the reason for him being promoted once again to major. So that's pretty damn cool. So all right. So the main story here is that someone is killing members of this science team that they feel wronged them somehow. 20 plus years ago. I don't want to give too much away if you haven't read it. I'll get into spoilers later. But this science team somehow wronged these women 20 plus years ago in India in 1969. So these two women are going around and they're taking out these scientists one by one while trying to figure out who the other scientists are, other members of the program are that they need to kill, and who is the top man. So Jack Reacher is assigned to this task force by the Secretary of Defense, along with other team members from the FBI, CIA, and Department of Treasury. They're assigned to this task force to hunt down these two killers before they can kill everyone on the list. So this is now the fourth book that Lee Child and Andrew Child have collaborated on to write. And in my opinion, they've been getting better. As most of you know, Lee Child created the Jack Reacher character and wrote the first 23 or 24 books all on his own, and has in recent years decided to step down and hand over the reins to his brother, Andrew. But as part of the handing off process, they decided they would write a few books together so that Andrew kind of gets the feel for the character and the fans can acclimate to Andrew's writing style. Who knows how much or how little either one of them contributes individually. Who knows? You don't know if Andrew wrote more or Lee wrote more, or Lee just came up with the outline and then Andrew wrote the story. I don't know. But I will say the books have gotten better with each one. The first two that they collaborated on were some of my least favorite Reacher novels of all time, and I was kind of worried. But these last two have been pretty damn good, with the latest being the best so far. So if you're a little iffy about reading this one because you read a few of the collaborations and you don't really like them, I'd say go ahead and take a chance and give this one a try. It's pretty damn good. Is it in my top 10? No. But it's pretty damn solid overall. I enjoyed it. I like the twist at the end. And even though I kind of saw it coming, and I don't know, is this because it was telegraphed in the storytelling, or is it because I'm just used to Jack Reacher novel twists? I can't say. But as the story built, I kind of saw the end coming. Both twists and or revelations to me were pretty obvious. But maybe I'm just smart. I don't know. Probably not. One other quick negative, and I'm not even sure it's a negative really, it's just I'm not sure why it was necessary in an already extremely short novel to have the first 2.5 hours of the audiobook, or 8 chapters or so. We're following Reacher on a story that has nothing to do with the main plot. It's basically just like hey, Reacher was out doing this thing and he gets, called away, needs to go and do something else, which is pretty typical for the beginning of a Jack Reacher story, but it usually doesn't take 8 chapters to get there. Now, the main plot, the villain storyline, it's there from the beginning, but we're going back and forth between that and what Reacher's doing, which is absolutely nothing to do with where he ends up going or the mission to stop the antagonists. All right, now I'm going to get into some spoilers, so if you haven't read the book, stop listening, go read it, and come back. I really enjoyed the story overall, and as I said before, if you're a little worried that this book might not be great, you can rest easy. They're getting better again, at least so far. But I want to get into some details, so here we go. Now, I don't know about you guys, but my favorite character in this story wasn't even Jack Reacher. It was Nielsen, the drunk on the task force. And I don't know why I loved him so much, but he was the most entertaining character in this book. I wish we could find out more. Much like the characters in the story, I wish we could find out more about him. It's unfortunate that they had to get rid of him. The other characters were great, but he really stood out, and I was sad to see him die. He's a great character, and the other characters in the story thought so too, as they comment on later. Now, I want to talk about the 2 twists or revelations in the story. The first being that the 2 antagonists were the daughters of someone who had been killed and slandered, actually blamed for a terrible tragedy, which wasn't a surprise to us. We knew that from the beginning. That's how they introduced themselves to their victims. But the reason no one else in the story could piece it together is because they had always been referred to by nicknames when they were young that sounded like boys' names. So everyone thought, oh, it couldn't be these 2 guys because our perps are women. And at first, I thought, and I'm still really not sure, but I thought they were going to reveal that they were transgender. Like, that's what I thought the twist was going to be. Very, very modern story, right? I thought they were actually like boys at birth, had transitioned to females, adults, and that's why no one could figure it out. Honestly, I think that would have been a pretty cool twist, especially since these females were like such badasses and they could overpower men so easily. But you can chalk that up to their military training in the Israeli army. So no, I don't think that they were insinuating that the antagonists were transgender. In fact, I don't even think they would do that, just because people might get up in arms about automatically making the transgender characters the villains. I don't know. Anyway, I really liked them as antagonists, and while their cause was just, they went about it the wrong way, which was murdering everyone involved. But Roberta and Veronica, aka Robbie and Ronnie, great characters. Now, the next big twist, actual twist, really it's the only twist, right? It's the other one is just a revelation. But I saw this coming as well. And this is that the real top villain and the person that did the worst in the story and almost skated for it was the wife of the man we thought was really behind it the whole time. Nice little twist right at the end there, right when you think the story's over and done, you get an extra chapter devoted to taking this woman down. It was pretty damn great. All right, as I said, overall, pretty damn good. Not top 10, but definitely a solid story. I enjoyed myself, even though the enjoyment was a bit short-lived. So, there you have it, my friends. Those are my thoughts. I'd love to hear what you guys think. Let me know in the comments below, or if you're listening in podcast form, you can hit me up at RealBrettScott on X and Twitter. And hey, if you're into Jack Reacher, this is the channel for you. It's not the only thing I cover, but I cover a lot of Jack Reacher stuff. I've reviewed close to 20 of the books so far. I reviewed the first season of the Amazon Prime series, episode by episode. And I'll be doing the same thing for Season 2 coming up on December 15th. So if you're interested in any of that, please subscribe to the channel or favorite or follow Daily BS Podcast. And if you do decide to stick around, get ready for a lot more Reacher stuff coming up. And I will talk to you again real soon. Thanks.